So yesterday, Donald Trump signed an executive order ordering that federal agencies to increase the flow of military and security equipment to local law enforcement. Okay, so now local law enforcement will be receiving unused military equipment.
In regards to whether I think it's possible, let's look at Trump's previous behavior. He wanted to overturn the election results from 2020. He had a massive role in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. He praises authoritarian leaders, and he wanted to declare martial law in his first term.
You've seen us online talking about different ways that we'll spend our money, boycotting certain businesses and institutions economically. We've maintained time and time again that we will not be taking to the streets and demonstrating the same way we demonstrated 5 years ago. And we've been adamant about the fact that the second we step out there, this administration is going to do something, or the people that support this administration are going to do something. We saw that happen firsthand in Philadelphia, where Black protesters were arrested.
Welcome back to the channel, and thank you to everyone who subscribed, liked, commented, and shared our content. If you're new here, this is your home for real talk about politics, power, and the people who are fighting back. We break down the headlines, connect the dots, and give you the story behind the story, because mainstream media won't. Before we get into today's report, a huge shout out to the independent journalists, on-the-ground activists, and everyday folks capturing the footage and reporting that make videos like this possible. We see you. We appreciate you. Your voices matter. Now let's get into it, because this latest move by Donald Trump has the country on edge. This week, Trump signed a controversial executive order allowing local and state police across the country to access more sophisticated military-grade weapons. Everything from armored drones to crowd-control sonic weapons and AI-powered surveillance systems. While the administration claims it's about restoring law and order, many Americans, especially in the Black community, are sounding the alarm. They say this is something much more dangerous. They say this is a modern-day attempt to enforce martial law right in our neighborhoods.
And defend our communities for law-abiding American citizens. Look, the crime is most rampant right here and in African American communities, and more people see me and they say, sir, we want protection. We want police to protect us. We don't want to get robbed and mugged and beat up or killed because we want to walk across the street to buy a loaf of bread. They want it so badly. The fake news doesn't talk about it. But the Black population wants law enforcement more than any other population.
So yesterday, Donald Trump signed an executive order ordering that federal agencies to increase the flow of military and security equipment to local law enforcement. Okay, so now local law enforcement will be receiving unused military equipment. It seems as though we are on our way, somewhat like a prelude to martial law. And a lot of people, a lot of citizens are speculating that that's exactly what it is, that this executive order is a gateway to martial law. So the order does not actually specify the type of equipment that local law enforcement will be receiving, but just going off of what we know from the past, you could definitely at least expect armored vehicles, tactical equipment, surveillance teams, basically whatever we see when one of our people are holding a protest with the SWAT team. Yeah. Basically, how Donald Trump kind of presented it is that our law enforcement today can't really do their job because they're so scared of how they will be reprimanded, God forbid that they make a mistake or whatever the case may be. And so this executive order is going to allow them to be able to just focus on doing their job, meaning if they even so far has to go as being even more aggressive to enforce whatever law that they need to enforce, they shouldn't hesitate, that they can be more aggressive and not have to worry about the backlash or the consequences, because they'll be taken care of via this order. And I'm going to tell you how. So I'm reading from an article that comes from The Nation that's discussing this topic. So it says that the police are now protected by powerful, well-funded, and well-lawyered unions, okay? They are protected by the judicial doctrine of qualified immunity, which prevents them from being personally sued for monetary damages when they damage or destroy property or lives.
So I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me what I think in regards to Trump declaring martial law on April 20th, and if I think that he will actually do it, or if it's possible, or any combination thereof. In regards to whether I think it's possible, let's look at Trump's previous behavior. He wanted to overturn the election results from 2020. He had a massive role in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. He praises authoritarian leaders, and he wanted to declare martial law in his first term, but was stopped by advisors who told him that he couldn't do that. He couldn't use military forces on the civilian population. So, do I think it's possible? Hell yes, I think it's possible. Whether or not I think it's likely, that remains to be seen, and I'll explain why. If you asked me that before his inauguration, I would have said it's probably not likely due to a number of checks and balances still being into play. If you ask me that now, I say it's more likely because he's fired so many people that would have held him in check, and those people are gone. The generals that would have tried to stop him are gone. The civil servants that would have tried to stop him are gone. Just any people in government that knew better and would have tried to stop him are gone. If he does declare martial law, it will be cloaked in the guise of protecting the southern border, at least at first. But the issue comes with the Insurrection Act of 1807. It allows the president to call forth militia to protect the country from insurrection. The problem is that the law very poorly defines what insurrection actually is. With newer updated language, insurrection can be unlawful obstructions, combinations, assemblages, or rebellions. And the fact that the Supreme Court has pretty much given Trump the power to do whatever he wants and to define those however he wants. Meaning that this wouldn't just apply to border security at the southern border. It would apply to all border security. It could apply to protests. It could apply to just about anything Trump deemed necessary. At the moment, the act that prevents the president from unleashing the military on the civilian population is called the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. However, if the president invokes the Insurrection Act of 1807, the Posse Comitatus Act is pretty much null and void at that point. This issue is more difficult to unpack than a 2 or 3 minute video will allow. I'm going to do another video on what I think kind of the military response might be, as well as the interaction between military and civilian forces if it came to that. And that's coming up next.
The executive order revives and expands the infamous 1033 program, a decades-old federal initiative that allows the Pentagon to transfer surplus military equipment to civilian police departments. But unlike past versions, Trump's order accelerates and expands access to cutting-edge weapons once reserved for the battlefield. Under the new policy, state and local police can now acquire armored drones with facial recognition, high-frequency sound cannons for crowd control, AI-enhanced surveillance systems, mine-resistant vehicles, and more. Civil rights advocates say this isn't about crime prevention. It's about community control and political intimidation. Black communities, already heavily surveilled and over-policed, are bracing for what many are calling a militarized occupation. Activists and legal experts are warning that this move is dangerously close to establishing martial law without officially declaring it. And given Trump's long history of using law enforcement as a tool against dissent, from tear-gassing peaceful protesters in 2020 to threatening military intervention during civil unrest, the concerns feel less like speculation and more like a warning. Black organizers say this is an attempt to chill activism, especially in an election season where police brutality, voter suppression, and systemic racism remain top issues. Organizations like the NAACP, Movement for Black Lives, and legal advocacy groups are mobilizing for court challenges, while community defense groups are holding emergency town halls and trainings to prepare for increased police presence. Trump supporters argue that the order is about keeping cities safe, especially in the wake of what they describe as rising urban crime. But the statistics don't back that up, and critics say the framing is just another way to criminalize Black and brown people and justify violence against them.
So in the 3 months that this man has been president, for the most part, the Black community has been home, enjoying their families, taking care of themselves and their mental health. You've seen us online talking about different ways that we'll spend our money, boycotting certain businesses and institutions economically. We've maintained time and time again that we will not be taking to the streets and demonstrating the same way we demonstrated 5 years ago. And we've been adamant about the fact that the second we step out there, this administration is going to do something, or the people that support this administration are going to do something. We saw that happen firsthand in Philadelphia, where Black protesters were arrested, out of nowhere. But what have we also been saying? What have I also been saying when I make these videos? There is a need to provoke the Black community right now. There is a need to get us pissed off, get us violent, and justify the fact that this president wants to use military force against Black people. And not only that, he wants to do it in a way that feels justified. Get us angry, get us violent, get us destroying things. He can use the military against us and tell the rest of America that it is because we are so aggressive. And we haven't taken the bait. We've done a very good job of not taking the bait. But even still, this man gets in front of a camera, gets behind a microphone, and he says, we need police, we need military, we need law enforcement more in Black communities. No mention of the neo-Yazis. Remember the neo-Yazis in Ohio who specifically went to terrorize a Black community? No mention of that. It is getting really close to crunch time for the orange man and his regime, all right? They are struggling to keep the favor of the people. Now, we know the loud supporters are still out here talking about everything is great, they don't see anything wrong, and they're getting everything that they're voting for. But for the most part, America is not happy with this president. If they cannot change the subject, if they cannot change the narrative, if they cannot provoke our community so that they can establish a visual on who they want the bad guy to be, everybody's going to see that this thing is not going to last. And that's why I keep making videos like this, and that's why I keep saying the things that I'm saying. Pay attention to what they are trying to do. It is absolutely a struggle to stay popular when all of your policies are directly hurting your own voters. But if he can get that Black community front and center and make us look like the bad guys, he'll be able to continue operating with full impunity. But without that, his days are numbered. I guarantee it.
Did you catch that? Trump is saying tonight, the Black citizens of America want safer communities. That the Black community is begging for martial law. Take a look. I just uploaded the video. They haven't even participated in protests, and they're being, whatever the word is. On a side note, don't fall for anyone that is just not at your level.
So what does this leave us? In a moment where communities across the country are still healing from years of police violence, systemic injustice, and political targeting, this executive order feels like gasoline on an already burning fire. To the people out there organizing, protesting, reporting, and defending their communities, thank you. Your work matters more than ever. We are committed to covering this story and standing with you as the fight continues. Big thanks again to all the creators, journalists, live streamers, and community members who make this work possible. This channel doesn't exist without you. We're building a people-powered media space, and that means something. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this executive order is about public safety, or is it the groundwork for authoritarian control? Let us know how this is impacting your city or your neighborhood. And don't forget, we're not just watching history, we're living it. And what we do next determines where it goes.